You've now learned about SF data. You've learned to make static maps with ggplot. You've learned to make interactive maps with Leaflet and MapGL. And you've learned some foundational skills in geospatial data analysis using the SF package. In this last section, I'm going to show you how to make a couple complex maps. These are heat maps and flow maps. Making these maps requires kind of combining all the skills that we've learned so far. Let's dive in and let me show you how they work. Heat maps are a great way to show the density of some occurrence. In this case, you're looking at an interactive map that shows the frequency of earthquakes around the world. And you can see, let's scroll into Portland where I live. Fortunately, we don't have that many. This is Mount St. Helens, which erupted, I think, in 1980. Heat maps are typified by using color to indicate where there is a higher occurrence of some phenomena. I'm going to make a heat map that will allow us to see where in the city of Portland there's a high percentage of unimproved corners. To do this, I'll load a few packages, SF, Tidyverse, Janitor, Scales. I actually don't know if I need Janitor, but it's in there. So I'm importing that improved corners data. I'm just using the point data here because that's all we need. I'm going to then use the Portland boundaries data as well, which I'm going to import. Okay, we are going to use a new function called stMakeGrid. Okay, what you're going to see is that when I run stMakeGrid, it's going to take my SF object and it's going to make it into a grid. So you can see when I run stMakeGrid on Portland boundaries, which actually let me just do Portland boundaries by itself, that on its own was just one multi-polygon. But if I do stMakeGrid, you can see that it is 100 features. Now, it's actually easier if we take a look at this. So let me pipe this into ggplot. So I'll do ggplot and geom_sf. Okay, so there is our grid. Now, it's a little hard to tell what's going on here, but this is a grid that has been created using the boundaries of Portland. So in fact, if I add a geom_sf here and I say data equals Portland boundaries, you can see there are the boundaries of Portland, and we have made a grid from that. Now, by default, this stMakeGrid function will make a 10 by 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10 by 10, but we can change this. So I can say n equals, I don't know, 20 by 20. And if I do that, you can see it makes a smaller grid. I think, I've never done this, but yeah, it looks like you could do like 10 by 20. You can specify the dimensions. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually save this. I am going to call this Portland grid, and I'm going to make some boundaries. I'm going to make it actually 50 by 50. Let me reformat my code. Okay. And so just to show you, if I do data equals Portland grid, there we go. And in fact, if I switch the order here, so I put that there, well, that way you're not going to be able to see anything. But if I do alpha equals like 0.5, there you can see how the grid lays on top of the boundaries of Portland. Okay, so what we're going to end up doing is we are going to take this grid and then we're going to join that with our improved corners data. And we're going to use that to be able to count how many improved corners there are in each grid in order to create that heat map. Now, I'm just going to do one thing that's going to actually be quite helpful for us before we actually make that heat map. So I'm going to use a function called st_intersection, which comes from the SF package. So you learned about st_intersects before as the predicate for when you're doing like st_join or st_filter. But with st_intersection, what you can do is you can combine two SF objects. st_intersection will then basically clip the boundaries of the second SF object to the boundaries of the first. So if I do st_intersection, Portland boundaries, and then Portland grid, it creates an SF object. Now it's quite slow when you run this because geospatial data often is slow. So I'm going to actually save this and come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, I have saved this as Portland grid map, and let me just pipe it into ggplot to show you what it looks like. There we go. So you can see now, instead of having that grid that goes kind of outside of the boundaries of the city of Portland, it actually stays within those boundaries. All right, if I look at this Portland grid map, the one thing that I don't have is an ID for kind of each grid, which I'm going to need later. So I'm going to go ahead and add that when I create it. So I'm going to say mutate grid ID equals row number. So the row number function will just make it like the first row will be row 1, row 2, etc. I don't actually need any of the other things here, so I'll also just do select grid ID. I'll run that. Just as a reminder, it will keep the geometry column because it's geospatial data, even though it'll drop all of the other variables. Okay, so I've got my results here. You can see grid ID 1, I've got the geometry data. There's actually an NA for object ID and ramp style. That's because in grid 1, which I'm guessing is somewhere like up here, there is no corner from the corner data. But on grid 2, you can see we've got a bunch. So object ID, that corner number, which is unimproved, and you can see on for the other ones. Okay, so we can save this and use this now to calculate within each grid how many of the corners have been improved. So I'm going to save this as improved corners grid. I'll reformat my code and I'll save that. And I'm saving things along the way, probably more than I would normally, just because, again, as you've seen, geospatial data is really slow to work with, so it's helpful to actually save intermediate objects. So I've got improved corners grid, and again, I want to calculate within each grid what percentage of the ramps are improved or unimproved. The first thing I might consider doing is doing grid ID, count grid ID, and ramp style. I will tell you, because I did this beforehand, that's actually going to be really slow. There are almost 39,000. So I'm going to use the trick that I used in an earlier lesson where I'm going to add st drop geometry. So I'm going to drop that geometry, but then I'll just add it back in later on. So now if I do st drop geometry and then I count, you can see, for grid ID 1, ramp style NA, there's 1. For 2, looks like unimproved is 14. They're all unimproved. For 3, there's no data, etc. Okay, so I might think now to do just a simple like group by grid ID and then mutate percent equals n divided by sum of n and then an ungroup. And so that gives me the percent. Now, the only problem is, as you can see, like if you look at grid 2, unimproved, they're all unimproved. I don't have any data on improved corners because there are no improved corners. So what I need to do before I actually do this is I need to use a function called complete, comes from tidyr, and I'll do complete grid ID and ramp style. What this is going to do, I'll run it up to there, is it will basically give me all combinations of grid ID and ramp style. So you can see now for grid 1, grid ID 1 improved. We've got unimproved. Obviously that's NA because there aren't any ramps with those values. For ramp style NA, we've got an N of 1, but that doesn't actually really make sense, but we'll deal with that in just a second. Okay, so now if I run this, let's see what we get. Okay, so I run that and I get NA for PCT. I need to add na.rm equals true to remove any NA values when I'm at this point, because for grid ID 1, it's trying to add like these 3, but one of them is NA. Okay, let me run that. There we go. And so now I can see my values. Okay, I need to do a little bit more data wrangling here because it's actually a bit more complicated than this, and I'm going to show you how I deal with it. But for now, let me just do a simple version of this. So I'm going to save this as improved corners grid PCT. And in fact, let me actually, I just want to keep the filter where ramp style is unimproved. So I've got the number of unimproved corners. And actually, sorry, I need to do one other thing here. Let me comment this. So I'm going to do a left join on that Portland grid map, and I'll join by grid ID. So just to show you when I do that, now I have my geospatial added back. Okay, so I'm going to uncomment that, reformat my code. All right, perfect. Now, let me do a ggplot here. So I'll do gmsf. First, I'm just going to add a base layer for Portland boundaries. Okay. Then I'm going to say geom_sf data equals improved corners grid PCT. I think maybe this isn't actually geospatial. Yeah, so I need to add my ST as SF. Okay, so now we have our grid. But I forgot that I need to do an aesthetic property. So I'll say fill is equal to PCT. I'll run that. Perfect. And so now we can see in the grids that have lighter colors here, we have a higher percentage of unimproved corners, even though it's slightly confusing that I called it improved corners. You know what? Let me just change it. I'll call it unimproved corners for simplicity. Okay, I am going to add now some code that's just going to make it look better. I'm adding a title. I'm adding a different color scale. So you can see basically light yellow indicates places where there are higher percentage of unimproved corners. I changed my NA value to be a lot lighter. I think that looks pretty good. Oh, let me just add, I'm going to say color equals white. We've got these really dark grid lines like between things. So if I add that, I think that looks a lot better. Okay, so there's just one issue with this, which is if I do this, so I'm going to do geom_sf data equals improved corners. Wait, so I have improved corners. Let me actually create an object to show you this. So I'll do improved corners and I'll do filter ramp style equals unimproved. And I'm going to save this as unimproved corners. So this is just point data. So if I add this back in, it's going to show all the points where there are unimproved corners. Okay, those are really big and hard to see because they're so big. Let me do size equals 1. I don't know. Let me just do like make them blue, say. This isn't actually something I'm going to put on my map, but it's useful to show you something, which is an issue that I had as well. I'm going to add alpha equals 0.5. Okay, so that I actually realized that works because this does show all the improved corners. Watch this though. Let me make a new object. So I'll call this only improved corners. And instead of only keeping unimproved, I'm going to only keep improved corners. That's what I actually wanted to show. Take a look, for example, at these ones here, as well as these corners here. So they are in grids where there is not any unimproved corners. So the percentage of improved corners should be 100%. The percentage of unimproved, I guess, should be 0. So we need to deal with our unimproved corners grid percent in order to deal with this. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to go back up here before we did the join in order to deal with this. So we're back at this point where we have grid ID, ramp style, N, and PCT. Okay, basically what I'm going to do is I am going to pivot this column, this ramp style column, wider so that I can say basically if there is a situation where we only have improved corners, then the percentage of unimproved corners should be 0. Okay, I am going to pivot this ramp style column wider. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if there are no unimproved corners, and so 100% of the improved corners exist, then the percent of unimproved corners should be 0. Otherwise, we'll just make it the percentage should be equal to the percentage of unimproved corners. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to use pivot wider. And in fact, before I do pivot wider, I'm just going to get rid of, I don't need this N column anymore. So just run it like that. So I just have my PCT. So now I'm going to say pivot wider. My ID calls will be equal to grid ID. I'm going to get the names from the ramp style column, and then the values will come from that PCT column. I also have to get rid of that since I'm now keeping everything. Okay, so now I've got grid ID, improved, unimproved. Okay, perfect. So now what I can do is I can say mutate PCT. So I'm going to create my PCT column equals case when. So if is NA unimproved and improved is 1, then the value should be 0 because we're just showing the percentage of unimproved corners. Otherwise, so default is unimproved. So whatever the value in unimproved is. So let me go ahead and run that. There we go. We can see we've got that. And let me actually just do one thing. Let me do a drop NA on the PCT column. And let me do this. Let me actually just run a filter on this just to check it. I'll do it after here. So I'll do filter is NA unimproved and improved is 1. So you can see, for example, in grid ID 21, there's percentage of improved corners is 1. There are no unimproved there, so the percentage of unimproved should be 0. Okay, that looks good. Now, all I need is the grid ID and the PCT column. So it'll look like that. And then I'm going to do my left join again and turn it into simple features data with STSSF. Okay, I'll go down here. Let's see if this works. Okay, I have my map here. Let's confirm that it works. What I've done here, I'm going to uncomment this, is I've added a layer to show the improved corners. So that has both improved and unimproved. And I've set the color to be equal to ramp style. Let me go ahead and run this. So you'll be able to see all of the points. And so you can see, for example, perfect. Now we can see, like, take a look here. Those are improved corners. So it looks like, there's probably just like 1 in each grid. And the grid is 0% unimproved, which makes sense, right? Because there's only 1 improved. And so I think now we have every grid covered. And so now, of course, I can just like comment that and run that, and we can see our end result. Now, the cool thing about this code is I can just go back up here. I've made a 50 by 50 grid. But if I change this to 100 by 100 and just run my entire code again, it will now make a new map with much smaller grids. But the entire code should work. It'll just fit all of those points into those smaller grids. It's going to take a second, so I'll let it run and I'll come back when it's ready. Okay, so you can see the map now that we've created that has these much smaller grids. Now, I've taken a ton of inspiration for this lesson from the blog post that you're looking at here by Andrew Heiss. It talks about how to make heat maps, and it's actually looking at campgrounds in Georgia. It talks about 3 different ways to make heat maps. This is more like what I call the choropleth before. Basically looks at the percentage I think it's the number of campgrounds in each county. This second approach is basically exactly what we just did. And then down here, there's actually a way to create another type of heat map. I actually think this looks the best of all of them. It's way more complicated. It requires using what's called raster data, which is not something that we're actually using in this course. But if you want to learn how to make heat maps like this, I will put this blog post in the Learn More. For your turn, I want you to create a heat map that shows where in Portland there are the most traffic signals. It should be in the southwest sextant, which includes downtown. So just import that data on Portland traffic signals, use the code that I used in this lesson, which you can get right below the video, and adapt it for your purposes.